How about try left?
I think you're right. So you know about hydroponics, growing plants without soil? Well, with advances in modern technology, a lot's changed, and we'll show you how you can do a system at home. But first, we're in Atlanta, Georgia, trying to find a hydroponics farmer that's doing this whole system inside of shipping containers.
And if we ever find this place, I'll make you guys a fresh basil pesto. It's gonna knock your socks off.
Sounds good. All this and more today on Growing a Greener World.
You know what? We're lost. I'm gonna call Matt.
I think you should. For centuries, people have been growing plants hydroponically. Basically, it's a method of growing plants using nutrient solutions in water, but without soil. It's necessary in some parts of the world where there isn't any soil, or where it would be too expensive to fly fresh vegetables in. But it's also the ideal solution in situations where traditional growing methods may be unavailable. For example, in the middle of an urban metropolis like Atlanta.
Joe, I just don't see it. I mean, to be able to grow local, sustainable, delicate greens in the middle of nowhere, I think Matt's pulling our legs.
Said it was a shipping container. We did our research. This is supposed to be the place, and here are shipping containers.
Wild goose chase, brother. I don't think you're right.
Hold on. Found it!
Whoa.
Hydroponic growing methods have caught the attention of some pretty smart people over the years. From rocket scientists at NASA, experimenting with the idea of growing plants in space, to high-tech guys like Matt Leota, intrigued with the idea of growing a lot of plants in very little space. So Matt, you're the brainchild behind this hydroponic growing system inside of a shipping container. I got to know how this all came about, because you're not even a farmer or grower by trade, are you?
No, I have a high-tech background in software. And after I had sold my last company in the telecom industry, I spent a lot of time cooking for my daughter, and as I went around to grocery stores and sort of looked at where the produce was coming from, I noticed a lot of it was coming from other countries.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like with all of the emphasis on quality and on where we're getting our food from, I was curious as to why more of it wasn't coming from right here. So I sort of researched into what it would take to become an organic farmer and provide local produce. So I sort of asked myself the question from a tech point of view, which is forget everything that there's known about farming and kind of start over and say, okay, if we want to have local produce, what problems do we have to solve to actually get there? And this is the result of the answers to those questions. So when we looked at it, we said, okay, if we can grow in an urban area, what do we need to do? And the problem is, you know, there's no farmland in an urban area, so we needed to create our own environment for growing. And what would be the optimal conditions to grow? What do we need to control? Things like temperature, humidity, CO2, et cetera, et cetera. So we came up with a methodology to control all of those things, and we needed some way to enclose them. So I stumbled across a shipping container as a basic building block. It provided an enclosure that was very easy for us to maintain. And it's a very dense footprint that can be scaled by simply stacking one on top of another.
Yeah. From the outside, a shipping container really doesn't look that big, but when you come inside here, it's amazing how many plants you actually have growing in here. How much area are we talking about? In other words, how many plants can we actually be growing in a space like this?
So the shipping container itself takes up about 320 square feet, and we produce the equivalent of about 1 acre worth of lettuce farm from here every month.
And that's due in large part to the way that you've got this all stacked up.
Well, there's several aspects that go into it. We're able to grow the plants faster than you would typically in a field. We're able to have higher yield because we don't have issues such as pests. We don't have issues such as loss to environmental issues. So all of these factors together allow us to get a lot more density than you would typically have in a field.
Now tell me about what you're growing in here, because it appears to be different types of lettuces and only lettuce.
That's right. We have actually 6 different varieties of lettuce that we're growing in here. We also are growing arugula. and we put these all together into a bag salad mix. When you think about consumer acceptance, this is a different way of growing. Maybe they're a little scared of this. So you need something that they can look at and understand whether it's going to be good for them. And many types of produce, it's hard to tell the quality of them without manipulating them in some way. Whereas lettuce, when you look at it, you can see the quality of it just looking at it. Obviously, tasting is another good aspect, but lettuce itself is very superficial in your selection at a store.
And your primary customers are restaurants at this point, correct?
That's correct.
And you mentioned something a minute ago about taste. Describe the taste of this as opposed to conventionally purchased lettuce in a grocery store.
Well, for some people, when they taste this, they say, you know, I don't even need dressing. It tastes that good. And you have to think about what kind of dressing's purpose was. Oftentimes it was to hide or mask the bitter taste of some of the greens. We don't have any bitter taste to our greens, so it's a completely different experience than what people would normally have. And in fact, many of the restaurants, the chefs there have learned to alter how they actually dress a salad because our greens taste so much better.
The taste is like nothing you've had from traditional grocery store lettuce. This is crisp and bright yet buttery, full of flavor, and definitely not bitter. Who needs dressing? This is great.
You know, wherever we travel on Growing a Greener World, we like to support restaurants that support their local growers. And that's why I'm here at 4th and Swift to bring Chef Swift this delicious bag. You recognize this? It was harvested fresh this morning from Matt's hydroponic pods. You know, I've never had a delicate green salad in the middle of winter, so I'm dying to find out what Chef Swift does for this beautiful little bag. Chef Swift, here you go, brother.
Nathan, good to
How
see
you
you,
doing?
bud. How are
Good
you?
to see you again.
Good to see you too. How are things?
Things are great. Actually,
Good.
they're
All
even
right.
better than normal. I've never had a green salad in the middle of winter that's locally grown. I would love to see what you do with those bad boys.
Great. Well, you know, these are good for us because everybody wants a salad, you know, and it's tough to serve one in the winter when you're trying to stick to the local thing. So PodPonics is, you know, grows the stuff right around the corner. So, you know, we could take these lettuces and we make a salad out of these and some other winter vegetables.
Okay.
These have all the varietals on there.
So you got some beets. What is that? There's 2 different types of beets? Or
Yeah,
is it
well,
squash?
this is our salad special for tonight. We're going to
Okay.
serve a lettuce varietal, different lettuce varietals.
Okay.
Obviously, locally grown. We've got kabocha squash, which have been diced.
Oh, yum.
And then we blanched that, so it's still al dente. We got some local beets that we simmered with a little bit of balsamic vinegar.
Okay.
And we have some fennel that we poached in a little bit of olive oil and some vanilla.
That looks
great. Toasted pistachios, and we're going to finish off with some ricotta salata cheese. Our dressing is a roasted shallot and maple dressing. So
Okay.
it really goes good today. It's a great wintry kind of fall winter salad. It sells like crazy and people like it. People like it a lot. So we're going to take our lettuces. Now these lettuces are very delicate. You don't want to overwork them because they'll be bruised. You don't want to overdress them because they'll be limp.
Okay.
But if you treat them rightly and just delicately, we add each of our ingredients.
So then goes the squash.
Squash, beets,
Uh-huh.
vanilla poached fennel, and a couple of toasted pistachios.
Okay, a little bit of crunch.
Yep, a little bit of crunch, a little bit of nuttiness. We get a little earthiness in there from the beets. We get some nice sweet from the squash. Of course, the lettuce have a nice sweet buttery flavor to them.
Okay.
And again, a light texture. So we're going to just put, for this salad, we're just going to put just about a teaspoon or so of dressing on there.
That looks really good.
Okay, very good. And just a hint of some cracked black pepper.
Okay.
Just a little bit. A little bit of coarse salt. Tiny bit, tiny bit. Again, we're going to treat it gently so that we don't bruise or wilt these lettuces.
Season from above. See that?
So we provide this, and we'll just kind of stack these lettuces up with aged ricotta cheese, and we're just going to
Look
put
at
a
that.
couple of ribbons right on top.
Just fresh shavings. Just beautiful.
A couple of those, boom, boom, boom. A little bit creamy, umami dairy goodness.
And
And
talking my language, Chef.
then we have a nice local winter salad from
That's amazing.
PodPonics lettuces. Actually, put a little more on there because I know everybody's hungry.
Watching you make this, I'm darn
Well,
hungry.
yes, exactly.
All right, brother.
All right.
Thanks so
You
much.
bet. Thank you.
Thanks, Chef.
You bet.
Delicious.